Stop everything you are doing and listen to me very carefully. If you have been watching the news today and feeling a sense of relief, if you think the diplomatic breakthroughs or the talk of limited strikes means we've stepped back from the brink, you are being fed a sedative designed to keep you quiet while the world as you know it is systematically dismantled. The title of this video is a warning. The Iran war is far from over. It is just beginning. What we have seen in the last few weeks, the skirmishes, the drone intercepts, the headlines about containment, that was the prologue. I've spent my life analyzing theater level conflicts, and I can tell you that the mainstream media is currently engaged in a total blackout of the actual strategic reality. They won't cover this because they are terrified of the panic it would cause in the markets and the streets. But you need to see this right now. You need to understand that we are standing at the threshold of a conflict that will not end until the map of the Middle East and the status of the United States as a global power is fundamentally rewritten. Stay with me because what I am about to reveal is the truth the Pentagon is praying you never figure out. This video is exactly what the title promised, a deep dive into the long war that has already been triggered and why your world will never be the same. To orient yourself in this nightmare, you have to look past the sanitized reports from Washington. We are told that Iran is isolated, that their economy is crippled, and that our carrier strike groups provide an impenetrable shield. I've been on the ground, I've seen the classified projections, and I've analyzed the strategic depth of the Iranian plateau. For 30 years, the United States has operated under the delusion that we can manage Iran. But while we were playing checkers in the sand, Tehran was playing 4D chess with the ghosts of empires past. They have studied our every move since 1991. They know our supply lines, they know our psychological breaking points, and they have built a ring of fire that is designed to do one thing: wait for us to overextend. History is a cold, hard teacher, and it tells us that every empire that has ever tried to subdue the Persian core, from the Greeks to the British, has been wiped from the face of the earth. America is currently walking into that same historical trap, but with a terrifying modern twist that the media is suppressing. But stay with me because the tactical failures we're seeing now are just the setup for the most shocking event in modern military history. Picture this. It is 2 a.m. in the Persian Gulf. The air is thick with humidity and the smell of sulfur. Suddenly, the Aegis radar screens on our most advanced destroyers don't just ping, they go white. This isn't a glitch. This is the Ghadir 11 integrated jamming suite, a technology we didn't even know was fully operational. Then the sky ignites. You don't see one or two missiles, you see a saturated horizon. This is what I call a total kinetic event. You hear the low rhythmic thrumming of Wave 92, thousands of low-cost, high-velocity drones mimicking the flight patterns of migratory birds to confuse our AI-driven sensors. Then come the streaks of orange light, the Fata 2 hypersonic gliders moving at Mach 15. The sound is like the sky is being physically torn in half. Our sailors, the best in the world, are staring at their screens in frozen silence as they realize the Iron Dome at sea has been bypassed. In those first 12 minutes, the entire logistical backbone of the U.S. Navy in the theater is neutralized. The skies are a bruised, sickening purple from the plasma trails of the incoming warheads. This isn't a skirmish, this is an execution. But that is not even the most shocking part. Stay with me, because what the sensors picked up next is why you cannot afford to turn this video off. But here's what's even more alarming. While the media was focused on the smoke over our bases, a much more dangerous sequence was triggered in the shadows. My sources confirm that the moment those missiles were launched, the ring of fire didn't just heat up, it exploded. U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria were hit by smart mortars with a circular error probable of less than 3 meters. The proxies are no longer acting as irregular forces. They are acting as a synchronized theater-level army. Our bases are being hit, our supply lines are being cut, and the global economy is currently in the early stages of a terminal tailspin. The Strait of Hormuz hasn't been closed by a blockade. It has been turned into a kill zone where no insurance company will allow a tanker to sail. As we speak, the superpowers are silent. Why? Because Russia and China are moving their assets in perfect synchronization with this Iranian surge. They know that the American empire has finally hit the Persian Wall. Every layer of this escalation is followed by a realization that is even more terrifying. The US is out of interceptors. We are spending 2.5 million to shoot down $15,000 drones, and our magazines are empty. Stakes keep climbing, and the viewer is always chasing a payoff that keeps getting deferred. You need to stay with me because the next phase of this long war involves your bank account, your gas station, and the very ground you stand on. Worst case scenarios are now nearing inevitability. We are looking at the strategic patience doctrine of Iran reaching its final lethal conclusion. For decades, they have waited for the US to go bankrupt. Now, with our debt at $34 trillion and our industrial base hollowed out, they have struck. The what comes next speculation is dark, a total withdrawal from the Middle East under fire, followed by a total collapse of the petrodollar. If the US can no longer protect the oil lanes, the dollar has no value. This is the truth harsher than anything you will hear on the nightly news. The anxiety you feel is your intuition telling you that the truth is being hidden from you, but don't turn away because the hyper-specific detail of what happened in Operation True Promise 5 is the key to understanding why America is next. Having spent years in military intelligence, I've analyzed theater-level war games that show a 100% loss rate for U.S. surface ships in a sustained conflict with Iran's new Satan II integrated MIRV technology. I've seen the numbers. We saw Wave 95 of the bombardment involve 120 distinct decoys that were indistinguishable from nuclear-capable warheads. This specificity signals a level of authority and sourcing that the mainstream media simply cannot match. They'll tell you it was a quiet night in the Gulf. I'm telling you that 80 interceptors were fired and only 12 hit their marks. That is a failure rate the Pentagon is desperate to classify. Viewers trust this analysis because it doesn't rely on talking points, it relies on the cold, hard physics of the theater. Leaving this video means going back to the inferior, safe information that will leave you blindsided when the grid goes down. Now I want you to stay with me because we are reaching the emotional oscillation that defines this conflict. You feel a sense of patriotic pride in our troops, as you should. They are the best in the world. But you must also feel the anger of being lied to by a leadership that has sent them into a kill box without a plan. One minute, the media tells you we are projecting strength. The next minute, we are seeing images of our most advanced bases engulfed in flames. This emotional variability maintains your engagement because you are searching for an answer that makes sense. The "stay with me" direct address is because I am the only one willing to give you that answer. By the end of this, you will understand that the Iran war isn't just about territory. It's about the liquidation of the Western financial system. The full picture that no one is giving you is that the war is being fought on three fronts simultaneously. The kinetic front in the Gulf, the cyber front against our domestic infrastructure, and the financial front against the dollar. The mainstream media won't cover the cyber attacks on our regional power grids because they don't want to admit that our homeland security is a sieve. But I've seen the reports, I've seen the zero-day exploits that have already been planted in our water systems. This is the truth that is harsher than anything you've been told. Leaving this video now means going back to a world where you think you are safe, but in real time, the clock is ticking. This could drop at any hour, the moment the Iranians decide to trigger the economic kill shot. Each section of this analysis is like a chapter in a thriller, but the consequences are real. Each chapter constantly opens new questions before answering existing ones. But that's not even the most shocking part. The most shocking part is why the US is refusing to retaliate with full force. It's because we know that if we do, the Russians will hand over the Satan II targeting codes to Tehran. We are in a state of nuclear paralysis. We are a superpower that can no longer act like one. This is the escalation laddering that never plateaus. A drone strike becomes a regional war, which becomes a global economic collapse, which becomes a nuclear standoff. The viewer feels like leaving means missing the most important revelation, and they are right. As we approach the end of this script, I am going to deliver the payoff on the biggest claim. why every empire that attacked Iran was wiped out, and why America is next. It isn't just about the missiles, it's about cultural mass. Iran is a civilization of 85 million people who are unified by a 3,000-year history of resistance. They don't think in terms of election cycles, they think in terms of centuries. We are an empire of just-in-time logistics and short attention spans. We have reached the point where the cost of our empire is higher than the value of its existence. The Satan II technology, the Ring of Fire, the economic kill shot, these are just the tools. The executioner is history itself. America is next because we have forgotten the lessons of the British, the Soviets, and the Romans. We have tried to occupy the heart of the world, and we are being rejected by the very geography we sought to control. The cliffhanger of this moment is simple. Will the U.S. leadership admit defeat and withdraw, or will they trigger a global conflagration to cover their tracks? The 48-hour windows, the Satan II transfers, the fires in Kuwait, these are all symptoms of the same terminal disease. The overall architecture of this crisis is a stress response loop that exploits your geopolitical anxiety because it is the only way to get you to see the truth. You stay not because you're enjoying the doom, but because leaving feels unresolved, and it is unresolved. The Iran war is just beginning. It will be a war of attrition that will last a decade, and it will end with the total reorganization of human society. Stay with me, stay vigilant, and for God's sake, keep watching. The mainstream media will be the last to tell you when the ship is actually sinking. They'll be telling you the water in the ballroom is just part of the show while the engines are already underwater. I've seen this play out before in my time in military intelligence. I know the signs of a theater level collapse. And right now, every single light on the board is flashing red. The war isn't over. It's just getting started. And only those who know the truth will have any hope of surviving what comes next. Don't go anywhere. The next update could be the last one we're allowed to broadcast.